What if being completely right could secretly make you a little wrong? And what if being completely wrong could still hide a small, quiet piece of truth that refuses to disappear? That strange feeling appears when the world is sliced into only two colors, where everything must be good or bad, smart or stupid, winning or losing, as if life were a chessboard with no space between the squares. Black and white thinking sounds neat and tidy because it promises quick answers and clear sides, yet something uneasy wiggles underneath, like a puzzle piece that refuses to snap into place. Imagine a kid deciding that today is a terrible day because one drawing went wrong, even though the sun is bright, lunch was tasty, and laughter floated around just minutes earlier. The mind quietly grabs a marker and colors the whole day black, even though several crayons are still lying unused on the table. Black and white thinking often whispers that if something is not perfect, then it must be a disaster, and if someone disagrees, then they must be completely mistaken. This way of thinking feels powerful because it removes doubt, hesitation, and confusing gray zones that make thinking feel slow. Yet those gray zones are where most real experiences like friendship, learning, and growing tend to live. Think about a game where you either win everything or lose everything, even though most games actually include learning moves, funny mistakes, and moments that sit somewhere in between. Black and white thinking prefers straight lines, while real life keeps drawing curves. Sometimes it shows up when someone thinks a person is either a hero or a villain, even though people often trip, improve, and change costumes without changing who they are inside. Stories make this tempting because movies love clear villains and shining heroes, while everyday life enjoys mixing traits like courage, fear, kindness, and confusion together. A child might decide they are bad at math forever because one test felt confusing, even though yesterday made sense and tomorrow might feel different. The thought feels certain, solid, and safe, yet it quietly locks the door on curiosity and practice. Black and white thinking does not ask how much, how often, or under what conditions, because those questions bring back uncomfortable shades. The mind enjoys shortcuts, and deciding everything must be one extreme or the other saves energy, even if it costs understanding. Philosophers notice this habit and smile gently because it reveals how humans crave simplicity inside complicated worlds. One way to see black and white thinking is as a trap, while another way is to see it as a tool that works sometimes but fails when used everywhere. Both ideas can exist together, which already makes the thinking less black and white than it first appeared. Imagine wearing sunglasses that only show light and shadow, then trying to describe a rainbow using only two words. The description sounds confident, yet something important goes missing. Black and white thinking can feel comforting during arguments because it tells us exactly where to stand and who to point at. At the same time, it can quietly shrink listening, because listening becomes unnecessary when the answer feels already decided. Children often sense this tension when adults argue loudly, each side claiming total correctness while ignoring small details that refuse to behave. Those details hover like dust in sunlight, visible only when someone pauses long enough to notice. Black and white thinking also appears in imagination, when someone believes they must either be brave or afraid, as if courage and fear cannot share the same heartbeat. In reality, courage often borrows energy from fear, which complicates the neat boxes the mind likes to store ideas in. This complication does not mean clarity disappears, but it does mean clarity becomes layered. Some people worrying that leaving black and white thinking behind creates chaos because rules and decisions start to blur. Others wonder whether that blur is actually where fairness and understanding quietly grow. Philosophy does not rush to erase the lines, but it gently asks who drew them and why they were drawn so sharply. The question lingers because sometimes sharp lines protect us, and sometimes they cut too deeply. Black and white thinking keeps returning because it is fast, loud, and easy to recognize. Gray thinking moves slower, speaks softer, and often needs patience to be heard. Neither disappears completely, which makes the story ongoing rather than solved. When a child starts noticing mixed feelings, mixed results, and mixed motives, the world can feel confusing but also strangely bigger. That bigness invites questions instead of answers, and curiosity instead of certainty. Black and white thinking does not vanish in that moment, but it loosens its grip slightly. The mind begins to see that opposites sometimes touch, overlap, and borrow from each other. A right answer might contain a small wrong turn, and a wrong answer might still point in an interesting direction. This realization does not shout, celebrate, or conclude because it prefers to wait quietly. The colors remain spread across the page, refusing to line up perfectly, and the question stays open, asking whether the world truly fits into two colors, or whether the mistake begins when we stop looking for the rest.